Getting the smile and confidence you've been dreaming about, all from the comfort of your home, isn't a total mystery with Bite clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all your friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system. If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served. Hi, I'm Detective Dave. I'm Detective Dan. Together we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood. So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished. From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching and listening to recently. I'm Terry, and Mary Beth's face looked like she just ate a bug.
I'm Mary Beth. I just finished yawning right before. Thank you for vamping so I could recover from it. And then I kept making the face. I thought it was funny. I'm Mary Beth again. Woo! This week we are talking about Alex Garland's newest film, some spooky music, Sam Raimi's return to the superhero genre, ruthlessness in country music, and the granddaddy of crossovers.
Heck yeah, we are. Ba-ba-ba-ba. I am dying to hear about Men, Alex Garland's newest film. So let's start with Air.
Okay, so I saw Men. Men is out the day that this is posted. It is out in theaters, and I saw it recently. I don't fucking remember when I saw it at this point. I remember nothing. But I saw it as part of a press screening, and I've still been trying to piece together how I feel about this movie. Like, I wrote my review for it. Like, I talked about it on a video for something for work. Like, and I'm still reeling from it. And I mean this in a good way. So, okay, for those of you who are not familiar, this is Alex Garland's third film. He directed Annihilation and Ex Machina, as well as the show Devs, which I absolutely love. This film, he wrote and directed it. It's about a woman named Harper, played by Jessie Buckley, who was my queen. She goes to the idyllic British countryside to heal after her husband dies. And there's like a lot of stuff going on with her husband that you kind of learn in flashbacks about their relationship. And when she gets to this beautiful house, she starts getting harassed by men. And every male character in this, besides her husband, is played by one man, Rory Kinnear. So he plays, I think, like 8 different characters that each represent a different kind of man. And so the movie is bonkers. Like, it's in concept, it's bonkers. In execution, it's bonkers. It's not my favorite Garland film, but that's not a bad thing because I love Alex Garland's movies so much. This one, I think, is the most kind of esoteric out of all of the other things that he's made. Because I know, and that's weird to say because his shit is esoteric. Like, it's weird.
I'm also thinking about the stuff that he's written, like The Beach, and like his filmography of things that he's like either written and or written directed is like esoteric central. So that's wild.
So this one is even wilder. Like, the ending is like, what? everyone needs to just... it's basically a movie that I cannot believe has gotten so much marketing thrown behind it, and I'm so happy it has because of how weird it is. It's going to have a lot of same reactions, I think. Someone else saw this. I said this on Letterboxd. I think Mia Vicino said this on Letterboxd, when she compared it to Mother, Darren Aronofsky's movie, that in terms of how it'll probably be very polarizing in terms of how people feel about it.
Those are the best movies, though, for me.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like, I was really, really impressed with how Garland captured what it means to be a woman and experiencing the world. I was actually really shocked. Because I've had some fucked up experience recently with random men accosting me on the street.
You sure as fuck have.
Yeah, I know. And so I was thinking about that a lot as I was watching it. And, like, I went to this place, but like, I always go to these things by myself. And, like, they're not far from my house, but I take an Uber. And, like, you know, you become so aware of how you have to kind of go through the world and the ways that I kind of act to make sure I don't get harassed. And so this movie captures that really well, and also captures how that kind of manifests in different ways and how it can be masked as something innocent. And Rory Kinnear plays all of these male characters with, like, he's an incredible actor. He's
really good.
He is amazing. And so he does such a good job with all of these characters. One of them that he plays, called the Vicar, is disgusting. Like, he is the worst character, but he plays it really well. I think I really loved it. It's just a lot to kind of percolate on, because it's like a home invasion movie and a folk horror movie all kind of crammed into one weird nightmare logic box. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hopefully try to go see it this weekend. We'll see if that pans out. But I love Alex Garland, and I'm happy to hear that it is complex.
Yeah. There's a lot of... I can't. I'll spoil it.
Please,
but
please
there's
don't.
just some really cool stuff going on there that it's fucking wild. And again, stunned, amazed, excited that this movie is getting so much support. Like, people that in my life who are not horror people know about this movie. And you know that's like a relatively big success when that happens. So not bad. And before we move on, just super quick, I did watch The Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes. It is incredible. Loved it.
Isn't it wild? And do you see how hard it was to talk about?
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit, because it kind of connects to another thing I'm talking about. But yes, it is. But I'll talk about Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes in connection to something else in a second. But first, I want to hear about Sam Raimi's return to the superhero genre.
I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. I went and saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And I'll be honest, it did not have the highest of expectations.
Fair enough.
Because I have superhero fatigue. I've had it for a very long time. I do not think Spider-Man aside, I do not think the last offerings of the Marvel movies have been that great. I completely stopped watching The Eternals like 40 minutes into it, because I was like, I don't even know what is going on here. And I have another 2 hours, I think, of this. I'm done. And it's sad, because these are like movies that I was really kind of excited for, because I really like the director behind The Eternals. I was like, you have some like non-white superheroes coming in, then I'm like, okay, let's see how. And I don't think they gave him the budget. I don't think they gave him like a good script to work with. I just don't think. Anyway, so I was sort of trepidatious going into Doctor Strange. And then I started seeing the articles about how it's pushing the envelope for what a PG-13 horror movie is. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's pushing the envelope of what a Marvel movie how much violence a Marvel movie shows. Well, let me reverse that. How much violence on a micro level Marvel movies show, because Marvel movies revel in massive amounts of violence.
I get panic attacks from watching Marvel movies sometimes, because I have this weird thing with disaster movies, like cities getting destroyed. All I can think about is all the people, and I get into my own head. So, like, those movies are built on city leveling violence.
They are absolutely at that macro level, but when you come to like one-on-one violence, a character gets split in half in this movie.
Oh.
One character, I'm going to spoil this death, so you don't want to hear anything about it. Please skip ahead. But one character that Doctor Strange meets in this multiverse has this, I don't remember what the guy's name is, but he has this ability that if he speaks, he can like use it to like destroy things. And the villain of this, it's really hard to talk about this movie without telling the villain. The villain is Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And she's like, tells him, well, you don't have a mouth. And his mouth is all of a sudden gone. It's just like flesh. And he goes, and all of a sudden his head explodes. Because he has nowhere to like voice it. And so it's like, there are gleeful moments where Sam Raimi's like impeccable design of violence is on display. And I was like shocked. So I was shocked not because of the violence in the movie, but because this was a Marvel movie and they were really allowing him to get away with as much as he could in a PG-13 rating. So again, does not push the rating, but it is incredibly vicious for a Marvel movie.
That's so funny. Like, people were saying that, and I was like, have y'all ever watched a PG-13 horror movie? Because like, there's some shit out there that really does push the envelope, and like, I mean, look, good for Sam Raimi for pushing it for Marvel. Like, I am very happy that my Lord and Savior Sam Raimi can at least get a little bit of that, like, freedom again. Because his Spider-Man movies, except the third one, I'm sorry, I don't like the third one very much. But, like, 1 and 2, especially 2 with Dr. Octopus, that movie fucking rules. Like, and I haven't seen Darkman. I need to watch Darkman because I just edited a really good piece on it, and it sounds, and, like, it looks incredible. And it's just like, Raimi has such an incredible filmography. And then this motherfucker gets to make, like, Doctor Strange in its current iteration of the Marvel. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and in fact, I was like, and so I had gone into this like, okay, how restrained is Sam Raimi going to be in this? And how much of Marvel is going to, like, pull him back? And the opening fight scene is with a giant, basically like a beholder, this giant eyeball-looking monster that
like
was in the
trailers and stuff? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it dies with Doctor Strange taking like a pole or something, piercing its eyeball, and then pulling it out, and you see it with its like the eyeball train behind it, the like ocular nerve
thing,
coming out with it. Like, this is glorious. And I'm like, okay, we're in for a Sam Raimi movie. This isn't going to be like a directed by Sam Raimi. This is going to be a directed by Sam Raimi movie. And I'll tell you what, this movie, I've seen like some people not like it, but in terms of like a Marvel movie, you have a score that is memorable because he hired Danny Elfman to do the score. So the score is memorable.
I forgot that Danny Elfman did the score.
And honestly, Marvel movie scores, not very memorable. Sorry to the composers, because I think you make some really good themes, but the regular music, horrible. This movie, music is fantastic. There's action that's tied to the music. Sam Raimi gets to go wild in the finale with like an undead corpse of a man coming to life. Like, there's some great moments of horror in this. There's some great moments of fan service in this. There's some, I think this movie is good. And it was only 2 hours and 6 minutes long, which...
That's so funny. So I watched the first Doctor Strange, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And I was like, oh, this is under 2 hours? Oh, fuck yeah. I was like settling in for like a long night. I didn't understand a lick of what was going on, but that's okay. I had fun. I mean, look, I get it. I know what's happening for the most part, but they have so many fucking specific names for every piece of anything they touch. I'm just like, who? And I know I sound like old man yelling at a cloud. Whenever I talk about this, I feel like I sound like a curmudgeon. But like...
Me too.
I can't get into it, and that's okay. That's okay. I also just haven't watched any of the show. I haven't watched shit. I just watched Doctor Strange for the first time 2 weekends ago. I haven't watched any of the shows. I know who they are and like about the stones and shit, but I think I've like surpassed that to the point where I'm like, I actually don't know what's happening anymore.
And the thing is that like I have friends that are huge Marvel heads, and so I will go to see them.
Look, there are worse ways to spend a Friday night. Like, if you're going with friends and can like get a beer and like some snacks, like there are worse ways to spend your time.
Yeah. But this one I genuinely enjoyed.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. I want to see. I do really want to see it, actually, because Sam Raimi, and I had fun with the first one. Benedict Cumberbatch freaks me out, though, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, and that's one thing I thought this movie did a really good job on, is sort of like coming to terms, or at least coming to terms with the fact that he's kind of an asshole of a character.
Oh, good!
And he is across all the multiverses, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, because he sucks. In the beginning of the first one, I was like, fucking get the transformation out of the way. I want to punch this man in the face. It's like, I know he's going to become a superhero.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Switching gears, let's talk about some scary music.
Okay. This segment goes out to Tony Kaufman, everybody. So it's two things. I'm going to layer them on top of each other. So one, I saw all-time favorite artist Lingua Ignota on Friday night.
Oh.
And she is behind albums such as Caligula and Sinners Get Ready, and she is a classically trained singer who makes music about her abusive relationship, and it's like Rape Revenge, the album series, and it's really intense. It's a lot, and I saw her live, and it was like going to fucked up church. It was really fun. I went by myself because Steve was gone, and I also don't think he would have wanted to come because it's just a woman screaming about how much she hates men, but using religious metaphor.
Okay.
It's fucking incredible. But so Steve was gone this weekend, and he has not left me alone for the weekend in the apartment since before the pandemic. So I was goblin mode, like listening to this music and another album by Ethel Cain that just came out called Preacher's Daughter. And if you follow me on the internet, you've seen me yelling about this on both Instagram and on Twitter. Because I don't have a personality outside of the things I hyperfixate on.
I actually added it to Apple Music and I started listening to it.
Okay. So this is the one I really want to talk about because Lingua Ignota was like a life-changing musical exorcism experience for me. And Sinner Get Ready is an incredible album that came out earlier this year / in 2021, I can't remember. But Preacher's Daughter just came out. This is Ethel Cain's debut album. And Ethel Cain is a character made by this artist who's a trans woman whose name is, I think, Anna. And it's this concept album where Ethel Cain is a young girl from like a Southern Baptist family. And it sings through her life. And it ends with her getting eaten by her boyfriend.
Oh shit. I've only heard the first song. Wow.
Whenever I explain it to someone, they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like this beautiful, dreamy Southern Gothic pop music with the darkest lyrics you've ever heard. Like, the final song is like talking about how she's like being eaten by this man. And yes, I did buy tickets to see her live in July. And the tour is called the Frozen Bride Tour because she talks about being a body in a freezer because her boyfriend killed her. But it's so good. I know it's a lot. Like, it's like, I've been listening to a lot of like women being very angry about their lives. And I think that's probably because I'm working through a lot of things that I'm angry about in my life. And this angry music is a soothing balm to my own rage. But yeah, it's incredible. It's dark, obviously. I mean, like, and it's not as obvious when you listen to it for the first time, but like, even now that you know, you'll hear it. You'll get the cannibalism. And one of the songs is called August Underground. So like, that also is just setting the tone.
Yeah. How did you find her?
Tony.
Okay. I thought so, because I thought I saw you both talking about it, and I was like, what is this? So I added it to Apple Music to listen to, because I'm always looking for new music. And I finished an audiobook, and so I was like, I had like maybe 10 minutes until I got home. So I was like, I'm just going to start listening to this in the car, and I really liked what I heard in the first like song and a half.
The first half of the album is like her like as a kid, and so it's a little bit, it's sad, but it's a little less like, hey, now my creepy boyfriend who I met is like making me like have sex with other men for money and drugs, and then he ate me.
No, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could be doing better, I guess, but I mean, there are worse things I could be doing with my time. It's such a beautiful album. Ugh, I love it. Give me more weird concept horror albums. And like, it's like, and I bring it up here because it is like horror. It sounds, it's like listening to a horror movie, especially one of the songs that has like demonic chanting in it, like Gregorian demonic chanting in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I want more music like that. And Lingua Ignota is kind of like that too. Like yelling and screaming and angry. So if anyone has any concept albums for me to listen to that are kind of along those lines, let me know.
Only concept album. I mean, well, Nine Inch Nails makes concept albums, and that was my first introduction to them. And then also Coheed and Cambria. Those are like,
yeah, I think Mastodon does because. Oh, you know what? Another concept album I really like is called Hospice by the Antlers. And if you can imagine, it's really not a very uplifting series of songs. Something's been wrong with me since I'm a child. It's fine. I'm just really depressed. But the reason I brought up Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes in relation to this is because I came home from Lingua Ignota. I was on 2 edibles and couldn't feel my face. And I came home and was like, okay, I'm feeling like shit. I'm going to watch Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes. It was incredible. So glad I watched it because it's also kind of about rage, feminine rage.
Yeah.
So it was a very beautiful pairing. And I was just, you got the pictures for me. I was laying on my couch watching it and I was like, ooh, what is happening? So yeah, that's the connection. They all go hand in hand.
We need to get the director on the show.
We do. Oh my God, please. But my sad shit aside, I'm very excited for this one about country music and ruthlessness. What is this movie?
Yeah, so I know you've seen it as well, and you've kind of told me a little bit about your thoughts, but I saw Torn Hearts, which is directed by Bria Grant, former guest of the show. I think people who know me online or listen to the show know I like Bria Grant. I think she is doing some very interesting things in horror, both as an actress and a director and a writer. This is not written by her, but it is directed by her. And it is about a country music duo, best friends, who are trying to hit it big. And they end up somehow finding out about a former country music duo, a pair of sisters, who one of the singers really enjoyed all throughout her life. And the country music duo pair of sisters, one of the sisters died. The other one has been living in a pink Southern Gothic estate since then. And that woman is played by Katie Sagal.
What weird raccoon noise was that?
The young duo go to her to see if they can, work on a song together. And they meet her, and she is incredibly off from the very beginning. And Katie Sagal has like a lot of nervous energy, I would say. She has these nails, and she keeps clicking them on things. And she's always like discerning what is happening in front of her. And in a very like spider on the wall type of maliciousness way. And it, of course, escalates and turns into a microcosm of the macrocosm of music and people being forced against each other, women pitted against each other to like get ahead. And the way that kind of like generational, I don't want to say generational trauma because I feel like that gets used a lot, but that generational like divide of, well, I went through this and this is the way music is. Yep. So now you're going to go through this. This is the way
it's like
it
hazing, like it's like hazing, but worse, if that makes sense.
And it surprised me. I did not like the trailer. I thought the trailer's like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie because the trailer didn't do anything for me. But the movie, I think it's a little slow in the middle. I don't think the middle section quite knows what it wants to do yet. But it ends on a strong note, and I had a joyful, gleeful time with it.
I was really surprised with this movie too, because sometimes Blumhouse can kind of be hit or miss in some of their stuff, and country music horror is not a thing, which is surprising right. Now that I think about it. And I was like, okay, this could be interesting. And then I watched it, and it's so good. It's high femme country horror, and I did not know how much I needed it. It is like, I was lucky enough to interview Bria about this movie, And she was talking about how, like, she loves psychological horror and, you know, like, the whole, like, the heady concepts we have in horror, but she doesn't want to make those movies. She wants to make things that are a little bit more, like, brutal and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fuck yeah. Because, look, we all know how much we love, especially me, loves some fucked up shit. But being able to watch something that's, like, in the daytime, pink, bloody, gross, femme, it was incredible. Because, like, look, femme can be brutal. Like, brutality can be like this. It's not one way. And I also think it brings this really fascinating look at internalized misogyny and this, like, need to be, like, clawing at each other to get to the top and what happens when you kind of succumb to that idea. And Katie Sagal's incredible. She has this charisma really and aura around her that is both terrifying but also comforting. Like, there's something about her that you want to go to, like this maternal energy that feels very toxic, but you can't keep yourself away from it. And I was really impressed with everything about it, like production design, the songwriting. There's a lot of singing. There's some good music. There's some good songs, and everyone sang everyone sang. All the actors were singers, and the writer Rachel Croft, I believe her name is. She wrote the lyrics. Like, she wrote them with the script. So I think they were tweaked a little bit to make them fit in the movie, but like she wrote a lot of the songs. So like they were written by the writer and everything. So like it was very much like a music production through and through, which is really fucking cool. But it's really it's surprising. It's fun, it's gross, and it's just like fucking ladies being bitches, and it's my favorite genre, ladies being bitches.
Ladies being bitches. It's out as of today on Epix. I believe it's probably coming to VOD in June if you don't have Epix, and I think it's having a release in June, a digital one. But it is on Epix as of today.
Yep. So give it a watch, y'all. It's very fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you liked it. I was worried. I was like, am I like overhyping this? Like, am I just watching so many movies? It's just my sense of perspective at this point is just like, anyway.
Yeah, it really sucked me in, and I was a little trepidatious as well with both of these movies. But no, I actually really enjoyed it. But let's talk about this granddaddy of crossovers. Granddaddy. What did we watch this week to start off our horror comedy journey, Mary Beth?
So we watched Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which...
We sure did.
Yes, we sure did. And you suggested this one. And what was it like rewatching it?
I have so many fond memories of this. This was a movie that I watched a whole bunch of as a kid because it was, like I've said on the podcast before, I got introduced to horror through the Universal Monster movies. My dad was a huge fan of them. And then I watched this movie, and it has Frankenstein, it has Dracula, it has the Wolfman, it has a cameo by Vincent Price as the Invisible Man. It has all of this stuff, and I'm like, yes, give it to me. Give this crossover to me. And so I watched this all the time as a kid. I loved, and watching it as an adult, I had not seen it since I was a kid. The opening cartoon where Frankenstein is opening the coffins and there's skeletons in there immediately brought me back. I love the opening theme. I think the theme is fantastic. It has like a London atmospheric vibe to it when the Wolfman is calling Abbott and Costello about things that are going to be delivered that have the corpses of Dracula and Frankenstein in them. And it just, I think the middle section sort of drags on this rewatch, but I still had a lot of fun rewatching it. But I have been curious to hear your perspective because you've never seen Abbott and Costello movies, and I know you've never seen this before. So I was curious.
I had so much fun.
Okay, good.
I feel like I've seen an Abbott and Costello. I don't know why. I don't know if I actually have. I was looking through their filmography, and I don't see anything that I recognize. But Abbott and Costello, like, I know who they are.
You know the bit, right? The Who's on First.
Yeah.
That's them.
Okay. Then it's, like, ingrained in my brain, I guess. But,
yeah.
So, I was very interested to see how they were going to make the Universal monsters funny. And I love how they were... I was very excited to see how willing they were, like, to have Bela Lugosi doing gags. Like, when they're opening the crate with Frankenstein's monster in it, and he's coming in and out of a coffin. I I was giggling because I was like, okay, so cool. They're like everyone is in on the joke here. And I agree with you. I think the middle part does kind of drag a little bit. And again, I think it's when they don't have Frankenstein. I feel like when they have all three of them together, all three of these monsters together, it's really funny. But then when you kind of have this like action-y plot in the middle and then you get to the end, you know, the pacing isn't great, but it's still I still giggled quite a bit because I think, which one is it? Wilbur.
I love Wilbur.
I love Wilbur with his little like it's like it's just so like 19 like such like 1940s comedy to me in terms of like the voice and like the short fat guy being kind of an idiot and like, you know, things that are
a little Faye.
And a little Yep. And like being almost too dumb for the vampire to hypnotize. Like, you know, it's things that we think about today. You're like, ooh, you can't really do that today. But then you watch it and you're like, well, this is where like you see like where these things were born and kind of how they played out back then. And you still giggle. Because it's, I guess, the context, but also like seeing them like, I don't know. Also, I didn't realize how hot Bela Lugosi was.
Oh.
That was embarrassing. I texted Terry in the middle of his nap about a certain thing about all the Universal monsters. And I was like, ooh, I'm sorry. That was a lot to just text you. And then you woke up from a nap and you were like...
I was like, ooh. But same. But okay, I love at the very beginning when... so you have... I mean, the whole premise is that you have... Lawrence Talbot, a.k.a. the Wolfman, calling because he wants to make sure that Dracula and Frankenstein are not, or Frankenstein's monster are not delivered to this house of horror that is like a wax factory. And so he calls, and of course he calls in the middle of it being a full moon, and he starts turning into a wolfman while he's on the phone with Wilbur, and he's like, would you stop gargling your throat? Because he just is like snarling at him. And then he's asking him to get his dog away from the phone. I can't hear a word you're saying. And then he barks at the phone like the guy's barking at him. And what I love about this is that, yes, it does get a little silly with the monsters, but what I think works particularly in the beginning is that you have the super serious plot, like Lawrence Talbot's taking himself incredibly serious. And you have all of that kind of stuff, but then you drop this incredibly silly slapstick humor in the middle of it. And so it's that juxtaposition of like the super serious gothic horror movie with like bumbling idiots in the middle. And I think that's a lot where like that initial humor comes in, and it just had me gagging. I loved it.
I know it was really fun. And I think I was being like, oh, could it be, is it like horror comedy from the 40s? Is it going to still be funny? It is. Mm-hmm. It is, guys. Surprise. It's actually funnier than most things you see.
I'll be honest, I have been thinking for a while, just like, is my sense of humor broken? Because I watch movies and I'm like, this should be funny, but I'm not laughing. And I immediately started giggling at this movie. It's just, it's silly. And I was kind of thinking how cool it would be to have like a modern day, like, I don't know, Key and Peele meet Frankenstein. Like, how amazing would that be?
That would be cool.
I feel like...
Yeah, because we don't really have...
like people are too super serious with their franchises now to have like a silly crossover like this.
I know. Yeah, because I feel like it's like always the Marvel stuff that's like the crossover of the century. But... yeah, that would be really cool now that I'm thinking about it. Because we don't really have, like, a comedy duo. Except for... and, like, Key and Peele don't really do a lot together anymore.
No.
Huh. Interesting.
Also, the finale I thought was epic. Multi-room fights between the monsters.
The psych gags... also, okay, the one thing I wanted to bring up, thank you for reminding me, is when Sandra, Dracula's lady... Frankenstein just picks her up and throws her out a window, and then it's never addressed again. I was like, like literally throws the bitch out a glass window, and she just rolls out and yells, and they're like, uh-oh, and then no one ever talks about her again. And she's not like a minor character.
No.
I don't, that made me laugh. And then... oh, and they were just having... the multi-room chases is definitely incredible. And also, it's Dracula and the Wolfman throwing pot of plants at each other. Like, it's the most incredible, like, ridiculous, like, they're, like, hitting each other with chairs and potted plants and pushing each other through doors. It's, like, it's so slapstick. It's incredible. And then I also love the transformation from Dracula into a bat. It has, like, this animation sequence, and it's really cool. Like, I love how they're just like, oh, fuck it. We're not going to try to make it look super real. Like, you all know it's fake, so might as well just, like, play with kind of animation, and it's really cool. It's, really, really good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm also glad that I enjoyed it, because I was also like, I have not seen it since I was a kid. Is the humor still going to be fun for me? But
I also feel
really
like, okay, like,
it.
I feel like in this especially, the humor is very, like, evergreen, if that makes sense. I don't feel like it's... I did love the union joke where, like, I work 16-hour days. I'm part of 2 unions. And I was like, union humor in the year 2022 is relevant as ever, which just made me laugh. But, like, I feel like there's so many comedies out now that are so, like, grounded in very specific reference points.
Yes.
And it dates it so easily. And, like, yeah, obviously Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is dated for a lot of reasons, but I don't think the comedy is. I think a lot of it is still funny now. And I think that's something that a lot of movies don't rely on as much. I think they try to go for, like, topical jokes that people will get now instead of thinking about, like, comedy that will last. And, like, I understand that using, like, pop culture references for comedy is important, but, like, in a lot of movies, I feel like it's also why they're so fucking, like, problematic when you watch them 5 years later when we realize, hey, you probably shouldn't have been joking about that in the first place. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
And I have to say, Lou Costello Wilbur, he has so much charisma. He is so funny.
When his partner is like, I don't understand why all the women love you. I'm like, that's the guy everybody loves. Like, that is the guy that I would want to hang out with.
He is so fun, and I loved the gag in the early when he's like they've opened the crates and the coffin is there, and he's reading Dracula's like legend, and the coffin just keeps creaking open, and the candle moves. And he's like, check.
So cute. It's just good. Oh my goodness. But so I'm glad we started off horror comedies on a very good foot. So what are we watching next for horror comedies?
So I think we're going to start to like look at this throughout time and see how the horror comedies evolve. But unfortunately, we are going to take a step back because I really would like to watch James Whale's pre-code horror comedy, The Dark House from 1932, not the William Castle remake from the 50s, the original OG, because I've never seen it. And I don't think you've ever seen it.
I love me a pre-code horror movie. There are not a lot of them.
Me too. No.
Pre-code movies in general are pretty cool. So I'm excited.
So I'm really excited for that one. But oh my gosh, speaking of excited, who are we talking to on Monday, Mary Beth?
We're talking to my new girlfriend. Sorry. We are talking to writer, director, and cinematographer Chelsea Lupkin, who is an absolute delight, sunshine beam of a human. And she brought with her the bisexual's dream movie, The Mummy from 1999.
Hell yeah.
Folks, when I tell you that this was the most fun, get ready. I yell a lot about being very attracted to everybody, but also we all do, so it's not just me. But
no, it's not just Mary Beth.
It's very fun. Chelsea is an incredible guest, and she is just very kind and sweet, and so
we get into this in the episode. I was like excited to talk with her, but also trepidatious. Again, I'm using that word a lot this episode. This episode brought to you by the word trepidatious.
Ooh.
But because it's like you don't want to meet people that you have like really high hopes for and then be doused. But she's fantastic. She does a lot of those Delish music or videos on the internet. She directs all of them. She's directed over 2,000 video things for Delish. So if you watch any of those iconic eats or any of that kind of stuff on Delish, you're watching stuff that she shot. But anyway, she's great. I'm excited.
I'm also very excited. So listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch a film or listen to some of this weird-ass music that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for horror comedies we should be covering? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please, 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 please review, rate, subscribe, so I won't be trepidatious.
We have a week left until my birthday, y'all. We gotta get to 100 for the 100 pictures of Misu.
Still sitting at 95.
Come on, motherfuckers. You got another week. You can do it. Anyway, that's my encouragement for the day. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Please stay safe out there, everybody. Most importantly, stay creepy.
Until next time, check.
Somebody please think of the children. Somebody please think of the children. Somebody please think of the children.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is the briefing room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system. If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served. Hi, I'm Detective Dave. I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood. So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished. From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.